Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to recreate the ring structure with Greeble details that I posted as a YouTube short some time ago. I'm not gonna overly explain stuff just to save time, but of course you can follow along. But seeing that we're in randomization, of course we're not going to have the same result probably, but just follow the gist of the workflow. So right here I'm giving additional resolution to the source object. So the randomization could have more faces to play with. So with this, I'm just going to symmetrize it. So the detail will be symmetrical. So in the video, the first operator I used is random loop extrude. And the preset is this one, 3 loops square 80. And then we're probably going to just leave the symmetry line alone, or maybe get rid of it later on. So inset depth, so 0.015 for the third one, 0.01 for the second, and 0.005 for the last loop object. So with random loop extrude, all you have to remember is that these columns represent the settings for each loop object. Okay, except for the global settings and this part of the subdivision. This row, however, also is connected to the column settings. So number one loop object and all its settings are in this column here. Let's reduce the inset thickness. Increase the subdivision. Probably something like that. Yeah, I think this is cool. This is cool as a starting layer. And next up, the one that I added is random cells, which is going to be those tiny antennas. And the preset that we're going to use is this one, full 100 individual depth. So um, with presets in random flow, it always starts out with 0 cuts to avoid crashes. For example, if a user selected high resolution and the preset starts out at 5, that will cause a freeze. So it's always 0, and to notice the effect of the for most of the operator, to notice the effect of the preset, you have to increase the subdivision. In this case, we're going to reduce the number of uh, cells that are being produced using the pool size parameter, and that you just need to get closer and bring back the redo panel. Probably use a thickness like that. And to make the extrusion smaller, you have to increase the subdivision. And also watch out for the thickness because it will overlap once the faces are too small. So you have to kind of zoom in and then adjust. So let's make this 30 or 50. And then you can play around with a post seed to randomize its location. Actually, let's bring it like that. Okay. So the next one I added is random tubes. Random tubes. I am planning to also update the script of this to make to get rid of the small segments, so it doesn't create a one line segment at the end, to make the pattern cleaner. So I think I'm gonna do that after I make the new operator for random flow. Then I will probably get on modifying this. So the press I use is points 100. So that's 100 tubes roughly, and not uh, they're not always one exact because of how the topology and the script works. So it's more like 100 or less. Okay. So high offset meaning that it has very high offset. So I'm just gonna uh, reduce it to something lower, and also the width of the pipes. Then bring it down more. Then increase the cuts to make the faces smaller. Probably use 10. So just 10 segments for the pipes. This means that there'll be more pipes because it's only using 10 edges to create the its body. So there will be more pipes in your face selection, but if you increase the length, of course there'll be less pipes, but there are more pipes that are going squiggly randomly, like in those selected edges. Okay, offset bevel. This is the bevel in the corners of the edge of the pipes to make them rounder. Okay, bevel offset. So only one resolution. We're not going to. There we go. Probably going to reduce the cuts first, then reduce the bevel using this to just make everything's lighter, and then increase the resolution again. So if you're with increased resolution, there will be increased processing. So in order to make it lighter when you're working with the parameters, you just need to lower down the cuts. Then after you uh, finalize your parameters, your settings, then you can increase the subdivision. Uh, Margin. This will separate the symmetry line. Auxiliary, let's try no fallback. So no fallback is kind of there will be less pipes, but the pattern will be somewhat cleaner. Okay, I think this looks good. Okay, oops. Just gonna save this ring world circuitry. Save blank. Save file. Okay. So this is the short. This is the how the short ended, and then I use procedural shading to texture the meshes. But we're going to go farther and actually put more layers into this um, model. So if we use, since this is a very high resolution selection already, so if we use like random panels for this, for example, it's already going to be really slow with just zero subdivision. Let's turn off the event depth to make those disappear. So if I increase the subdivision to 1, carefully, it's going to be managing the uh, parameter is going to be really slow because it's processing all those faces in the randomization. So what we need to do is just slowly give this give the islands another layer of details. So make sure that everything's selected, deselected, Alt A in edit mode, or if you have pre-select, which is only $2 in Blender Market or Superhive now, superhivemarket.com. Control Alt A to deselect everything. Then Control Shift F for the selection of face islands. Whoops. Wait. Shift F. Okay. Let's deselect everything and then select this island here. And just use random panels and let's use this. It's my favorite. My favorite preset for random panels. Actually, let's not. Let's use this one. Set the thickness point to 0.001 and increase the cuts. Okay, so that gives us this one here. And also the thickness is somewhere around there. And let's increase the panel amount. Let's give this a bit of a margin. Oops, no. Margin? No, not happening. Okay, thickness. There we go. Some bit of thickness. And this gets rid of these larger islands first. Then we're going to play around with the depth. There you go. And there are these tiny faces here. That is the thickness. There you go. I'm probably on even depth. So this one gets rid of the spikes, but the inset or extrusion becomes uneven, which is good if the depth is low, but if it's too high, the detail will look like it's puffing out of the mesh. So this is how we're going to, so remember the subdivision. So right now we're using 3, and then we're going to, what is this? Is that our, yeah, 1, 2, 3, are they connected? Oh, it's symmetry. Okay, maybe not the whole island. Just this part here. There we go. And now that we're away from the symmetry, we're just going to actually settings, clear selection, so we don't have to clear select every time we randomize another island. But in this case, we use the too late, so these are selected. We call Shift A to deselect and select new ones like that. Run panels 1, 2, 3. So there is spiking 90 degrees. Oh, there is spiking. So this is 30. And just use split. You can use split or you can use even depth off. You can use wrap, but to get rid of that, you have to turn off even depth. So just an increase in detail. Oops, an increase in detail. That. I'm going to select new geometries. So if this is asymmetrical without the mirror modifier, you have to do this on the entire mesh. You can do this in a single selection because again that will be too high resolution for the script and it will probably cause a freezing. So you have to do this manually for each island. It's increasing the detail, picking up islands. That's why we use That's why we didn't use too much resolution from the beginning. Using random loop extrude, it's much lighter. So that's like, but that kind of detail is already considered like secondary detail because it's the details already too much. Oops. That is actually the random loop extrude and random panels are actually using the same algorithm, but the random panels is more specialized, whereas random loop extrude will let you, of course, layer those loop objects. So as you can see there, that there's a bunch of other faces. So I used Control-Shift-A to select everything first and select new faces. Well, now let's kind of review the shapes. Um, I'm reading a Facebook message. Okay, let's move on. And another trick that I use is that, so let's go back to the cylinder. That is the source mesh underneath all this. So to pick it using Blender without hiding all this stuff here, so Alt H. So you need to have hover over to where the geometry is, the mouse cursor, and press Alt and right click. This may depend on if you have left click or right click in Blender as the selection hotkey. So in my case, this is default Blender, so it's Alt right click, and it shows you all the objects detected under the mouse cursor. So in this case, our source mesh or work mesh is the cylinder. So pick that and make sure that everything is selected. Every face is Control Alt Shift A, and then we're going to use scatter and use cube. Okay, and decrease the size and explode it. This will make like in a certain distance. If you make it small enough and randomize the shape, this will make it look like these are the debris uh on the ship. If it's like an abandoned station, you can create this effect doing this. So increase the there is no subdivision for this. So just increase the points, explode it to make it more to make the explosion much more diffused. Just get play around with the plus the margin. Yeah, the margin. And so don't make it too small. Don't make it too small before you make it macro at least and not totally micro. So you can see the effect of the rotation parameters when you edit them. So just randomize doing this. When you use scale seed of 1, then it will follow the parameter exactly as you said here. I've said it like that. And when you use scale seed other than this value, which is 1, then it will randomize. And also the same for rotation. Okay, and we can actually increase this for increase other axis for This one is 2, for example. Like, yeah, increase some of the axis point seed, and the offset is probably too much, or the margin. Let's set it back to 0 and start over again. So let's make it more diffused using by just playing around with the margin. It's not really what it's intended for, but you can use it for that effect. And 0 margin. Okay, just increase it a bit and then explode it again. So you can see it's following the direction of the faces. So that's why we are using the margin to kind of displace it more from its position. What's this? Okay, offset. There you go. And then there you go. And you need to, if it's too big for your render distance, then you need to go in and actually play another randomization for this object here. And only for those really obvious one in the render. So if it's too far, then you don't need to actually add any detail to them. This will work regardless. But if they're closer, they might betray. It might betray that they're actually just basic meshes. So either you go in and put some details to the really big ones, or you can just make them smaller. That and increase the. There we go. Increase the number. You can in auxiliary. You can also use single object to make them as a single object. To make them as separate individual objects. But you will have 127. This is useful if you are going to use random animation, and this will random animation in random flow, and this will create random animation for its individual objects instead of just being a single object. But in this case, we're not going to randomize it soon. Actually, I'm just going to make this bigger here, just for you to notice it more in the viewport. And in the render, in my thumbnail, I'm going to make them smaller. But the redo panel will be gone by then. So how will I do it? Okay. So go in edit mode, select everything and use Alt S. And then when you use Alt S, mouse drag, go that. In order to slow down the increment, you just press shift and then mouse drag to slow down the increments. If the scaling reaches 0, the mass or the geometry will invert like that. I think this is what happens with black holes. Okay, so just a quick shading. Okay, but we're going to turn the tubes into real mesh. Okay, now the real geometry. We select everything. So Shift G and then T for type, and then run flow, run the vertex color, just no saturation. So island. So every face group in the mesh gets its own particular shade of black and white gradation. And then extras shading up in materials to add the material to multiple objects. Use creative flow, assign material, and then flow metal without the textures. And then we're going to assign our vertex color that we added using the random vertex color operator, and control its intensity using the overlay. Set the factor to 1 and let's render. Okay, let's change the HDRI to something brighter. Okay, So if we make this darker, everything else goes darker as well. So I think what's happening here when you use this is that the whites go brighter and the dark goes darker. So something like that. And just the basic edit here, 0.005 in this case, or some, no, it's too big, 0.000, 0.001. You go, and something like 60 for the scale, or 100, because this is a big object supposedly. Scratch, you can probably, like, this is more designed for bigger objects, but you can probably just leave it at something big. Cavity mask, okay, threshold, um, pick dirt, something like 5. This is going to be 10 to make it more diffused. Mm, there you go. So the reflection somewhere around here. Okay. So we can actually simulate the darkness of space using this, the Gaffer add-on. All you have to do is enable brightness, contrast, and turn this to 0, and go to film and set this to a toggle of transparency. So now we're in space, and there's a somewhere in that direction is a very bright sun that is canceling out all the stars. Okay, let's change our star. This looks good. So the sun is kind of like that away. We're going to add lights next. Yeah, and using the what is this? Light UV. I'm gonna update random flow again with the new operator plus changes to the uh, material. So there no longer be UV underscore UV and underscore object. They're just going to be a single shader because the switch for UV and object mapping will be in the shader group. Okay, so to use this, it's using UV, but I'm not gonna tab and show the inside of the shader, but we can actually just cube project. Use cube projection. Really cheap way to rate those UVs. Okay, emission. Make this less saturated, and the lights are probably too. Okay, the lights are good, but we need to make them so you can increase the factor to get more lights, and you can use offset to randomize their position. So we have our lights. That's good. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate. So yeah, to hell with the length of the video. I'm just going to demonstrate it. The apply this. So we apply everything. And then what will it? We need to set it as a group. Is everything selected? Yes. And P, separate them by loose parts. So these are all single objects, and we are going to group them to easily select them later on. Shift G, no, no, don't. Control G, then press F9 and rename this, because by default, if you use Control G, it will group it to the collection collection group. So rename it. I'm going to rename it scatter objects. Okay. So when we pick one and just press Shift key and press collection, we can use the scatter objects collection we created earlier to select them all. There we go. So now we can unhide everything. And despite there being other objects that are, of course, being in the way of selecting everything, like that, you can just pick one of the objects you've assigned in the collection and then pick them easily using this method. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go to the frame range and 24 FPS. Let's set this to 30 and 30 seconds, 30 times 10. And let's open up the editor or the graph editor. Okay, and then excuse random animation, uh, rotation, I think rotation, individual rotation. You could set individual rotation. Wait. W, set their origin to their own geometry. Okay. W, Shift U, random animation, rotate in the uh, press space to activate animation. So it's animating, so we can see the effect. So Z and press. You need to press Shift to select multiple axes. So they are now rotating on their own axis. And again, for this one too, the seed value of 1 will use the literal values in these parameters, and seed value of 2 or higher than 1 and lower than 1 will be randomization. I think there's 127 objects, so we just assigned like all those keyframes. So they are now rotating on their own axis or on their own origin point, and they're actually too fast. So let's increase the frame and to something like 500 to make there we go, make them slower. So some of the debris are actually rotating faster, and that's good. Okay, now let's redo the operation, and I hope this works. I haven't used it in a while, so yeah, whatever. So do not clear animation, and I'm going to rotate this in the x-axis. So this direction, x-axis. It's going to rotate this way. Okay, hope this works. Random animation, continuous in the x-axis, and it didn't work. Transform. No, do not clear animation. Add parent empty. Oh no, where did it add? It added itself on the. It added itself on the main object. There. Cursor to world origin. Random animation. And X. Look at those. That is a beautiful Big Bang. Look at that. Lead value. It doesn't rotate. Use cycles modifier. Add parent empty. We're going to use the pivot for the 3D cursor. Now where did he go? Or the geometry? Oh no, it crashed. Discuss geometry. So it crashed, and wait, I'm going to close window, close the program, cancel, and open it up again. And we're still here. Okay, shift console, world origin, and then random animation, the x-axis, do not clear animation, continuous, so it's rotation. It's not rotating, it's supposed to be rotating on the cursor. Where is it? Oh, it's in the do not reset transform, add parent empty. Okay, it's not working. What but what I need to do is actually select all this again, collection, and then random animation on the x-axis or the y-axis. Oh my god, I just pushed geometry again. Oh my god. Okay, cursor to world origin, scatter objects, save, random animation, let's use y, continuous and cursor, and clear animation. Okay, let's repeat and say it's cursor, origin, cursor, something's happening, add parent empty. Okay, it's not working, so I'm going to capitulate and parent this collection. They're supposed to just rotate individually on that, but doesn't work. Parent them to this empty here, and then we're going to animate the empty on the axis in the y-axis. So y-axis, x-axis, and then uh, make the cycling slower. So 800 frames. That's too much. 2000 frames in frame. So what I hope to have to do was make an individual rotation for each individual objects, but not happening. I'm going to investigate that. It's not supposed to act like that, but there we go. So our debris is now, let's set this to 8,000. There you go. So I'm going to animate the cylinder, our source mesh, which the Greeble objects are parented to, and also rotate them either I'll rotate them the same direction as the debris. Okay, random animation. Is it the x-axis? So origin and the x-axis. There you go. And we're going to randomize. Probably much lower, 15,000. And set this to 1 to actually use 15,000. Or 20,000. There you go. So the our ring station is moving, and the debris is moving with a station, and it's a bit faster. Okay, so let's try and render this. Okay, not happening. Okay, let's go to material preview. This is go. Okay, I thought it was going to be. This is what it will look like in Eve, so it's not really. The shaders are not really made for Eve, but this is. And all we had to do is animate this for something like 15 seconds, and you can post it as a short. Wait, let's render this out and then animate. We can kind of see what it will look like, but it's of course really pixely. Okay, so that is it. And I'm sorry for the mess up with the animation. I'm going to retry this uh, off video and see what is actually going on. And I will, once I figure it out, I'm going to re-demo that action in another video. So it's supposed to kind of work like, so we made individual rotations for the scatter objects on their own axis, and then what's supposed to happen next is that each individual scatter objects rotate into 3D cursor, and they have their own speed going this way, but that didn't happen. So we just capitulated and used the empty technique, parented them to an empty, and then animated the empty. Okay. So actually, we can add another one before we go. We can add another effect, selecting the empty, and then this one here, easy shake, is going to be another random, another product of mine that's going to be released somewhere around um, three $3. Easy shake. This will just quickly add uh, noise modifier on the selected objects, and you can randomize its effect. And that's what I've been using for my shorts. You can see the camera. It can also be used for camera. You can see the camera shaking like that. There is another add-on for that, but that is only purely for camera. Well, as Easy Shake, you can use it for all other objects like meshes. So Easy Shake for our empty Easy Shake. So let's just move. See, you can clearly see the effect. Okay, okay, we have clear animation in order to like dampen the effect. Strike minus 0.1 here, and also you can scale minimum. So this is the scale. The less the scale, the stronger the effect will be. So we're going to make it higher. So we can see you can see the empty kind of moving randomly. It's using the noise modifier. Then you can of course see that like that. And you can restrict frame range, blend type. I don't know what this does, but I just exposed it. Uh, so it kind of adds a bit more sway and realism on that. And when uh y- you go to the camera view, I'm just going to use the shorts dimension that I've saved here. Okay, and then select the camera. So for example, I'm doing this video for a YouTube short or TikTok or Instagram. Okay, so I've selected the camera, easy shake. We're just going to use the previous settings, but let's make it No, point 0.3 and point 0.6. So because the object is really big, I'm not sure it's not supposed to sway like that. Point 0.1, so point 0.2. So there we go. Just a bit of movement on the. So how much are we? So 60 FPS. It changed to 60 FPS. 60 times 20. What? Oh, 1, and this is 60 times 20. Okay, so we have the movements of the objects in the scene, and we also have the movement of our camera. So the camera guy is kind of tired, and the camera is shaking around. It's not using a tripod, so it's handheld because this thing just appeared in the sky, and he didn't have time to set up his tripod because he's afraid that the object might just disappear, and he couldn't get the scoop of his lifetime. So yeah, this is what handheld would look like. Okay, so rendered in the region, go to truck lights and disable depth of field. So there you go, the ring structure with added effects like layering and animation. The animation part kind of messed up, but we did get a really cool effect in the end. Okay, so that's it for this video. If you have any questions, use the comment link or the comment section of the comment section and about in the or the comment section of the video or the links in the description. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.